A few years ago, I started tracking exactly where my money was going. And what I found genuinely shocked me. Not because I was spending on obvious things, but because some of the biggest wastes were decisions I had never even thought to question. Things that society had convinced me were completely normal. So in this video, I am going to share with you 8 things that are a complete waste of money and what to replace them with instead. Let us start with number 1, and that is buying cheap. You've probably heard the phrase, buy cheap, buy twice before. It is popular because it is often true. We buy the cheapest option to save money, only to spend more in the long run on replacements and repairs than if we had just bought something decent quality from the beginning. But there's another side to this that does not get talked about as much. Even when a cheap purchase clearly is not working, a lot of us cannot bring ourselves to get rid of it. So it ends up in a drawer or a cupboard, along with a dozen other things that were not worth what we paid for them. If this sounds familiar, it is not your fault. What could be to blame is a psychological bias known as the sunk cost fallacy. It is basically when we stick with something, a product, a habit, a job, even a relationship, not because it is working, but because we have already put time or money into it, and it feels like a waste to walk away. You might see the sunk cost fallacy showing up in your relationships, your career, your day-to-day life, too. For example, if you are watching a movie that you think is boring, you are probably not going to walk out of the theater early because you paid for a ticket. Whereas if you were watching it at home for free, you would just change the channel. The only difference is what you have already spent. The same thing happens with cheap purchases. We hold on to them long after they have stopped being useful because throwing them away feels wasteful. But keeping them does not get your money back. It just costs you space, mental energy, clutter, and sometimes even more money down the line. So before you buy something cheap, ask yourself 2 questions. First, how often will you actually use it? If it is something you will use every day, skimping usually is not worth the frustration. If it is something you use once or twice a year, spending a lot more probably does not make sense either. And second, do you actually need it at all? A lot of cheap purchases never get used because they were never really solving a problem. They just felt like a good idea at the time. Number 2, a bigger home than you need. When you apply for a mortgage, you will usually go in with a rough idea of how much you would like to borrow. If you are buying a home for $500,000, for example, and you have saved $50,000 for a down payment, you will need $450,000 to fill the gap. But what happens if the lender offers you more than this? If they offer you a mortgage of $500,000 or even $600,000, would you take it? It might sound like a no-brainer, especially if you are offered enough to buy in a better location or to get an extra bedroom. And if the monthly payments still look manageable at today's interest rate, it is very easy to convince yourself that a bigger loan is worth it. It is only when you add up the true cost of the full loan that you realize how much of a waste it can actually be. If you borrow $450,000 at 4% over 30 years, you will pay around $773,000 total. That includes your loan amount plus over $323,000 in interest alone. Increase your loan size to $550,000 with the same interest rate, and you will need to pay back over $944,000 over that 30-year term, including nearly $400,000 in interest. You also need to think about how your circumstances might change over time, turning what seems like an affordable monthly payment today into something that could keep you up at night in the future. If your income falls, if interest rates rise, or you have more expenses down the line, you might have very little left over once your bills are paid. Then there is the cost of the home itself. A bigger place usually means higher energy bills, higher property taxes, more maintenance, more repairs, and more money spent, filling the space. These do not all hit at once, which is exactly why they are so easy to underestimate. So it is really worth being honest with yourself about what you actually need right now. Staying smaller for longer can keep your fixed costs down and leave room in your budget for other things, instead of stretching yourself thin from the start. Number 3, upgrading your phone every year. Are you someone who upgrades your phone every year? If so, you are not alone. 25% of Americans expect to upgrade their phones within 1 to 2 years, compared to just 15% in 2023. And I get it. When the cost is spread across monthly payments and you can trade in your old device, it does not feel like a big spend. I used to upgrade every single year without really thinking about it. It felt like a must. But a few years ago, I just stopped. My phone now is 3 years old and it still works completely fine. There are a few scratches on the side, but it is completely fine. If I had kept upgrading, that would easily be another $2,000 or $3,000 gone. Say you are paying around $45 a month for your phone. Over 2 years, that is just over $1,000. Keep doing that every couple of years, and over a decade, you have easily spent five, six, maybe $7,000 extra on phones. Choosing a new phone or switching contracts can be really overwhelming because there are so many deals on the market. But as a starting point, compare the cost of different devices without the data plans attached. You might also be paying for features you will never actually use. If your current device is not broken, you can save a lot of money by just waiting another year or two before you switch. And if your contract is up, switch to a SIM-only plan until your device has breathed its last breath. Of course, if you are really passionate about having the latest phone, you do not have to take any of this advice. I am just encouraging you to be mindful of exactly how much a new phone is costing you, so you can weigh whether it is worth sacrificing other things to keep up with the latest tech. Number 4, diamonds. Let us talk about diamonds. You have probably heard that an engagement ring should cost 1 month's salary, or maybe even 2 or 3 months. That idea is so widespread that a lot of people assume it is some long-standing tradition. In reality, though, that rule actually came from an advertising campaign by the diamond company De Beers. It originally started as 1 month's salary, and over time it quietly crept up, all because the industry wanted to make more money. If you are really interested in diamonds and you have budgeted for them, I am not going to tell you to stop. But there are a few things to think about before buying one. Most engagement rings actually lose a significant chunk of their value the moment you walk out of the store. Not because they are low quality, but because the retail markups are huge. That drop shows you how much of the price is branding and marketing, rather than the stone itself. You can save thousands by buying a lab-grown diamond rather than one that came from the ground. Many people think lab diamonds are fake, but they are made of pretty much the same materials as mined diamonds. Even trained gemologists cannot tell the difference without specialist equipment. The main difference is the price. Lab-grown diamonds cost nearly 30 to 70% less than mined ones for the same size and quality. I found this out firsthand when I lost a pair of real diamond earrings. When it came to replacing them, I looked into lab-grown ones and got the same quality for a fraction of what I had originally paid. And honestly, I could not even tell the difference. None of this is about spending as little as possible. If a diamond ring is important to you, that is completely fine. The waste happens when people spend large sums without knowing where the expectations came from or what alternatives exist. Number 5, luxury purchases labeled as investments. Imagine you are thinking about buying something expensive. Maybe it is a designer bag, maybe it is a high-end office chair, or some other large expense that you do not strictly need. You know, it is a lot of money, so you start looking for ways to justify it. You might tell yourself this is an investment, you will use it for years. It is good quality. It might even save you money in the long run. Once that idea is in your head, something interesting happens. You start noticing things that support that decision. Reviews about durability, articles about posture or productivity, people online saying it is worth every penny. Meanwhile, you ignore the downsides. This is confirmation bias. When we want something badly enough, our brains get very good at finding reasons to justify the purchase, while ignoring all the reasons not to buy it. The problem is that telling yourself these purchases are an investment will not actually make it true. They are unlikely to grow in value. They are not going to generate income. They are not going to improve your financial position. Sure, they might make life more comfortable or enjoyable, and that is fine, but they are not improving your financial position. They are just nice things. And honestly, that is enough of a reason to buy something. You do not need to dress it up as an investment to give yourself permission. Just be honest about what it is so you can put it in the right category in your budget and make that decision from there. Number 6, extended warranties. Imagine you are about to buy something, a laptop, a TV, a kitchen appliance. You have done your research, you are happy with the price, and you are about to check out. Then it appears. Would you like to add an extended warranty for just a few dollars a month? It feels small. It feels sensible. Better safe than sorry, right? But here is what is actually going on. Most products do not break during the extended warranty period. And when they do, the cost of repair is often less than what you already paid for the warranty itself. In a lot of cases, you have spent money on protection you never needed for a problem that either never happened or would have cost less to fix anyway. What a lot of people also do not realize is that you are probably already covered. Most products come with a manufacturer's warranty. Retailers often have their own return and repair policies. And if you paid by credit card, there is a very good chance that your card automatically extends the warranty on purchases anyway. Extended warranties are pushed so hard at checkout because they are incredibly profitable for the companies selling them. Most people never use them, and that is exactly how the model works. So instead of paying for one, a better option is to build your own small repair fund. Set a little aside each month, and if something breaks while you are out of warranty, you have got it covered. You keep the money either way instead of handing it over just in case. Number 7, which might sound a little controversial at first, and that is weddings. I am not actually going to say they are a complete waste of money, because I believe this is one of the few days in your life where you and your partner will have everyone you both love in one place. So, it is worth spending some money on, but the question is how much? From my own experience and from talking to friends, one of the first things people do when they start planning a wedding is go look at venues. Someone will show you around, maybe give you a glass of champagne, and at the end of your tour, you will usually be handed a brochure with some prices. For some people, that price can come as a shock because it is straight out of their budget. For others, it is actually lower than they were expecting, so they lock in a date, tell all their friends, and start planning everything around it. And this is where costs start to spiral. You have suits, dresses, a photographer, a DJ, flowers, and all these extra costs. On top of that, the venue itself will often charge extra for things you assumed were included. Suddenly, there is a fee for reception drinks, a charge for cutting the cake, the cost of your room the night before. And because most people only plan to do this once, it is very easy to let the budget rules slide a little, telling yourself it is a one-off, it will be worth it, and maybe it is, but if you end up borrowing money to pay for your wedding, things have probably gone too far. The last thing you need at the start of a marriage is debt from the day itself. So before anything else, write down exactly what you can afford to spend and stick to it. List the things that genuinely matter to you and your partner, and give yourself permission to skip the rest. Number 8, streaming subscriptions. The average American spends over $550 a year on streaming subscriptions, and 10% of people are paying for more than 5 services at the same time. Now I want to be clear. Spending money on streaming is not automatically a bad thing. If you are genuinely watching TV for hours every day, $46 a month is actually pretty reasonable. But I would guess that most of you are not doing that. You are probably only watching a fraction of what you are paying for. There are whole months where you barely touch certain platforms because you are busy, or because you are watching something on a different service, or you just forgot it was there. Here is a useful way to think about it. Pick one of your streaming services and ask yourself, how much would I need to watch this month to make me feel like it was worth the money? Let us say you decide 2 shows is the threshold. If each show is around 8 hours long, that is 16 hours of watching on one platform. Now multiply that across 4 services. That is 64 hours of content a month you need to get through to feel like you are getting value from all of them. Is that really realistic? I canceled 2 of mine last year and honestly did not miss them. Not one bit. The reality is that most of us are paying for the idea of having lots of options, not because we are actually using them. So do a quick audit, go through your subscriptions, work out which ones you actually used last month, and cancel anything that does not make the cut. You can always resubscribe when there is something you actually want to watch. I do not want you to watch this video and think I am attacking you for spending money on non-essentials. I have had a wedding. I do not always make the most of my subscriptions. And I sometimes make expensive purchases that I regret later. I used to be a lot worse, repeatedly wasting money month after month without realizing it. But now I have my money set up in such a way that the occasional blip does not completely derail my finances. I budget for big luxury purchases, and I review my spending regularly. That way, any money mistakes are identified quickly, and I can get back on track. If this video helped you spot a few spending habits you had not thought about before, I would love to know which ones you relate to most. And if you found it useful, subscribe. I post every week on money, investing, and building.